I've never done a cast on this map. Never, not a single time. 4v4. And the map, which I don't know the name of. Faceoff at Rostov. Okay. Gonna see a 4v4 face-off at Rostov. Since I've never cast this map before, I guess we'll take a quick look at the tactical map. It's one of those really weird maps. There's like this big, massive ice river here in the left. All three of the victory points are on this half of the map for, I don't even know why, how that's fair. I don't get it at all, but alright, sure. Fuel point there, both munitions points over there on the right side. It just feels like this south half is so much better. Does anybody else feel like the south half of this map is like 10 times better? Just looking at it, isn't it obvious? I mean, I know that this is frozen, so it's not actually that hard to cross. It still seems kind of choke pointy though. Choke point there, choke point, choke point. I don't know. That's just my impressions. I don't play 4v4. I've never actually played this map seriously, so I can't claim to understand. Apparently chat generally agrees with me though. So there you have it. This map is apparently kind of lame, but anyway, battle group headquarters going up here. We're gonna see who are our players. We've got double Oberkommando West, double Oster, double Soviets, double US forces, so a perfect balance of all four factions. All four factions will be represented equally this game, and our players are GB Pirate, Masked Monkey, Augustus Marius, and Napalm versus Kiss My Ass Please, Rank 47, Red Army, and QQ sequence of numbers. So, Angry Bears versus randomly selected lucky winners here, representing the Axis. And as the engagements are opening up, we're going to see not three, but like a million squads of conscripts making their way over here to the right side with riflemen support. Big push by Allied infantry to try to make it across the river and take control of the victory points, fuel, and munitions here, clustered on the right side of the map. Okay, Zabinges. Thank you for composing that song in my honor. It's truly a masterpiece. Allies doing pretty well so far. They've taken control of the victory point over here. Riflemen should be able to screen against that advance. They do not succeed in getting that fighting position constructed against these advancing Sturm Pioneers. We're actually going to see two battle group headquarters stacked right next to each other here. And Oster players are fielding some mortars to the front lines now, trying to bombard these clustered Axis or clustered Allied infantry formations, trying to make their way through the city. No real attempt by the Axis to take this island, by the way, either. The Allies have no defenses over there. You'd think one of these four players would send one squad, just the entire north, in fact, completely undefended. Even light harassment from one player would go a long way. All four Allied players moving up to apply pressure here will decapture this strategic point. And as far as commander selections, we've got Luftwaffe chosen, close air support chosen, Red Army and Kiss My Ass Please leaving their options open. GB Pirates gone with Airborne, Napalm, Recon, Augustus Marius with Guard Motor Coordination. So, Allies pretty sure what they want to do. Masked Monkey hasn't chosen yet, but we're going to see P-47s, we're going to see Greyhound, and we're going to see T-34-85. So pretty standard stuff from the Allies. There's really nothing too surprising. And squads making their way across the right side, going to continue trying to get fighting positions up, continue trying to hold on to this victory point. They have the Axis triple capped here. Conscripts getting pinned down. Not really making any progress here on the right side. By either side of, really. Stern Pioneers struggling to make it over there to the victory point. Looks like they might accomplish something here, though. Pretty light defenses over there. There's an ambulance here. Fighting positions been constructed. Most Allied infantry not really available to support in this area. Stern Pioneers just need to close that gap with support from maybe some screening infantry. Something needs to go over there to assist. Maybe even a lucky mortar hit would be sufficient, but these mortars seem to be doing pretty good work here so far. 5 kills between those two. This one's done some damage but no kills, but it looks like all Allied infantry has largely been forced to reposition or back off. But the Axis need to get some victory points under their control. They only have 300 points left. They're running out of time quick. It's only 6.5 minutes into the game. If they don't do something somewhere, they're just gonna run out of time. Finally, we have an advance to the right side by these Stern Pioneers. Get into close range on those conscripts. It looks like they'll win this engagement. Pioneers are available here. They get crit by that Molotov, though, and will retreat. Conscripts walk into the flames and suffer 2 losses of their own, and the Pios in this little house actually wipe them. Pios should be able to move into that capture circle and get the victory point under control. Stern Pioneers available over here to assist as well. Mortars continue to bombard this position. Bit of a push over here on the left side. Conscripts with their Molotov, decrew a machine gun. Pioneers are probably going to wipe them in return. There they go. Preserve that strategic point. This victory point, pretty much undefended. There is a mine right there, but other than that, pretty much undefended. Left side island still completely undefended. Just even one squad, anything. Just send one squad from any of these 4 players to go get that victory point and slow this clock down. I feel like the Axis are getting a little bit lazy about this. Although they have slowed the clock by taking control of the right side victory point, which hopefully will be sufficient. Infantry support gun pounding away from range. It's got 1 kill. Other than that, not a very impressive performance by it so far. The Osterm mortars are definitely going to outpace it this game. They perform so much better for their cost. It's really kind of weird. I don't know. I guess that indirect fire is supposed to be a faction weakness. Purple Commando West. But I feel like it's just too expensive. It just doesn't make any sense for it to cost so much and be worse. It would be more of a faction weakness if it were worse because it were super cheap. I don't know. I try to defend the infantry support gun every single time one gets fielded. Try and point out all of the things that it does usefully. But I mean, it's firing at a bunch of infantry in cover this entire game. It just does, like, when it gets a lottery win like it just did right there, it does pretty okay damage, and it did a few kills, but most of the time it just doesn't seem to do anything. Making it pretty hard to argue in its favor as a caster. Pretty hard to recommend building that thing. That was like kind of okay hit. Oh well. Flak emplacement over here gets decrewed by a Molotov. Gonna have to get some troops back on that. Grenadiers need to move up, take control of the strategic point here.
Squad numbers back at full. Battle promotion.
Stewart is firing, and there's an infrared half-track field, and you don't see those that frequently, but in 4v4 they make a lot more sense than in 1v1 or 2v2, because there's a lot of indirect fire on the field, and it gives you a lot of useful information, but it just exposes itself to an anti-tank gun right there, and is immediately destroyed. I don't know why he felt the need to move that straight to the front line, but alright, so much for that thing. Greyhound on the field is taking heavy damage from a Panzer II. And there it goes, it is destroyed. Flak emplacement has just not done anything useful. Another unit that is really awful. You can argue Over Commando West is overpowered all you want, but they definitely have their fair share of units that are just useless. Every faction has useless stuff. At least we can all agree on that. At least it doesn't cost 480 manpower like the infantry support gun does. Mortars bombarding the guards in that cover position. Look how quickly those land. So many mortars. So many mortars on the field. And the Axis are slowly creeping forward. They're going to get control of this victory point. However, they're actually kind of losing control of the victory point over here on the right side. This flak emplacement has fallen into Allied hands again. INR Pathfinders have been deployed as well. Infantry support gun there has been cleared. There's another one here. Continuing to try to do damage.
Return fire! Return fire! Promotion received!
Panzer II just diving straight into that AT gun though. It's gonna have to take a different approach. And Stewart's still on the field, continuing to look for opportunities here. A couple squads of Allied infantry available to support. Looks like we're going to see a push by these riflemen to try and get some territory here. Managed to clear out a already damaged MG42 right there. This one is a little late to get into this building and set up. Grenade going into the house, almost destroys the house. One more grenade could easily finish the job. There is an Ostwind, hulled down Ostwind over here. Interesting. Unfortunately, this wall is making it very difficult for it to hit those riflemen in the building. It's not really accomplishing anything there. And the field gun has moved up to screen that Ostwind away, but this sniper is also probably going to be able to decrew that Zist eventually. Which means we have Festoon chosen by Red Army there. Haul down his Ostwind, make that a really powerful anti-infantry defensive position as long as you can screen away anti-tank guns. It's almost kind of like a little Over Commando West Tier 4 structure. Only it fires way faster. And has probably a lot less health also. It's like a little mini version.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Sniper continues to fire on the field gun and will get decrewed. Ostwind has pretty good range, firepower. This is really actually very reminiscent of a Tier 4 structure from Over Commando West. It's like the exact same thing. I like that. Although I get it can't suppress. It doesn't suppress. That's something to keep in mind. But I guess that's compensated for with the huge rate of fire. Panzer IV chasing down the Stewart over there. Man, this is getting really laggy. You can probably see it in the stream how bad my frame rate is. I don't know how people play 4v4s, especially on this map. This map has got like snow and stuff everywhere. I don't think my computer could handle that. Panzer IV gets its main gun destroyed. Sherman wants to chase. One more shot could seal the deal. Oh, shot hits the ground. Hauled down Ostwind, firing on that Sherman's rear armor. Actually threatens to do semi-significant damage to it, I think. Get some rear armor hits with the flak, bringing it down. Sherman should probably turn around. It'll probably lose this engagement against that Ostwind, honestly. It doesn't flip around. There it goes. Deploys smoke to screen its retreat. Should be able to get to safety just fine. I just want to point out, I don't think I've seen a single squad go for the left side VP this entire game. Not even an idle squad of Pios. Nothing. Axis have not even tried. And they're paying the price. It's currently 500 to 178. If they don't slow down that victory point lead, they're probably gonna just lose. I don't know what that SWS was doing. It's now slowed by the smoke here. Grenade gets tossed. Almost destroying it. Thompson paratroopers will easily finish that thing off. Although they're probably going to take a pretty nasty amount of damage from those Sturms. And the Ostwind. They're going to have to get out of there. SWS is destroyed. Sturm Pioneers moving to take control of some stuff over there on the right side. Bunch of fuel caches constructed here by the Axis as well. Try and bolster their economy. Get some heavier units on the field. And that hold down Ostwind though. pretty serious problem. Look at that rate of fire. That is crazy. Sherman and field gun dealing a pretty significant amount of damage. Finally, it will be convinced to break its hull down and get to safety. Sherman kind of looks like it wants to chase. A blizzard's about to kick in though. Kind of dangerous to chase blind into a blizzard. You don't know what kind of anti-tank is set up to screen you away. Blizzard begins. Sherman's going to pull back to safety. These squads over here are forced to retreat by a pretty big advancing wave of allied stuff, and there's a Katyusha on the field here. Couple mines going down over here in the road. Mortars bombarding that field gun. It's going to reposition to safety. Repairs on the Ostwind here in the back. Eventually, not yet apparently. Fires going up. Pretty standard blizzard. Everybody gets a nice little break from the action. Indirect fire takes a couple shots, but you know, nothing too crazy happening. Napalm, let's look at resources. We've got 900 manpower from Napalm. Augustus Marius floating fuel like crazy, waiting for his T-34s. GB Pirates kept his resources pretty low, making that Stuart into a Sherman. That's pretty costly. Masked Monkey floating both of his resources like crazy, and his munitions actually like crazy. He did actually field a Katyusha, but from there it looks like he wants to go straight to IS-2. And until the game makes it to 10, 11, 12 command points, a lot of the allied big guns are still just floating in the resource pool. A huge ass. I probably literally cannot watch it on 8 times speed because it lags so bad, so I don't even know if I'd be able to speed it up more than like 1.6 times, and it would like be a slideshow, so no, I'm definitely not going to do that. This is already lagging like crazy. Katyusha bombarding this area.
Casualty reports are flooding in. Units
Doesn't look like that really hit anything though. Shermans have moved up to try and unseat these defensive positions by these Volksgrenadiers. Panzerschrecks do destroy one Sherman though before retreating. Then Sherman should have repositioned to safety and let GB Pirates Sherman finish the job. The Axis will maintain control of this victory point, but if they don't harass this for free, by the way, there's nothing defending, or win this engagement, they're just gonna run out of time. They only have 100 points left. 20 minutes into the game, almost completely out of victory points. Somebody has to take the initiative and go take this victory point back, or they're gonna lose. Huge blob of, well, not huge, but scary blob. Stern Pioneers and Fallschirmjäger here is going to take control of the center VP while most allied forces are tied up over here on the right. Shock troops move to clear out a stolen field gun over there on the VP and start capturing this. Center VP, however, has fallen to the Axis, of course. Allies continue to just flood this area with troops. There is an Ostwind available over here to fire on the Allied forces that advance. And it looks like some form of Allied artillery just got dropped over here. Incendiary will clear the field gun. Possibly clear both. Huge manpower damage inflicted right there by that incendiary strike. The Allies are going to take control of the right side VP. Now, 2 Panzer IVs moving up to engage over here. Hit a mine, damaged engine on that one, drove right into a Jackson. Jackson will be destroyed. Stuart activated shell shock, but didn't manage to stun that, and looks like both are going to get to safety. Pretty good push by those Panzer IVs, despite hitting the mine. Jackson and Stuart destroyed. both Panzer IVs look like they're going to be able to get to safety. Nice play right there by QQ, his medium tanks. All of this stuff is going to be forced to retreat. Fallschirmjäger retreating. Allies about to take back control of this victory point, and if they set up a triple cap against the Axis now, they're going to run out of points so quick. This Ostwind has been hauled down, making it really dangerous against all Allied infantry that make their way over here. It's got super long range. Ooh, look at that huge hit, though. Huge hit by the Sherman on that retreating squad. Takes out the Panzerschreck. More Volksgrenadiers moving up to push that Sherman away, though. Katyusha pounding away at this area. Doesn't really hit anything though. Looks like that might have been a little bit off target. Clears the field gun. And blows up some barrels. Everything else is fine. Pack 43 going up over here to defend against tanks. There's an IS-2. Don't even know how that IS-2 fell to half health, but apparently it's at half health, making its way towards the victory point now. The Axis have only 75 points remaining. Guards taking control of the center point. Clock's going to start ticking against the Axis very quick. Assault artillery falling in this sector. I don't really see any units in this sector, so it looks like that's not going to do all that much. Got one hit on that rifle squad, I guess. Allied tanks fighting for the center. Hit a mine. Pack 43. That's the second Pack 43, actually. There's two. One right there, one right here, defending these two victory points. Gets a big hit. Destroys that Sherman. T-34-85 is pulling back to a more safe range. And the Allies still hold that VP. Axis needs to send some infantry into that in there. There they go. Big blob of Fallschirmjäger making its way towards the victory point now. Some Pioneers are finally going to go harass the left side. 23 minutes into the game with only 45 VPs remaining. If the thought finally occurs, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just... Okay, never mind. They're going somewhere else. Never mind. No VP harassment. I dared to dream. But the dream wasn't real. Big force of Allied infantry. From GB Pirate here walks into the capture circle to continue to delay the capture of this victory point. Smoke grenades being deployed to screen. Apparently, both of these Pio squads went to go build a cache. Because that was a two Pio squad job. One of them couldn't go take that point completely unopposed, but finally, Pios are making their way to the left side to get that victory point under control and hopefully keep the Axis in this game for just a little bit longer while they try to hold onto the right. Katyusha trying to soften up the lines over here. Axis trying to take control of this victory point, but the Pack 43 is not quite close enough to force away this tank sitting right here. Fallschirmjäger gonna get wiped. I don't know why he hasn't retreated yet. He's not gonna capture that. Pointless to even attempt. Flak emplacement going up right here is probably just gonna die and get stolen. But gonna try and make it work. And railway artillery just got dropped over somewhere. Over here? Somewhere, I don't know. It's fallen somewhere. Okay, in this general area, Shermans look like they're going to get clear relatively easily. And now that there's finally a harassment attempt over here on the left side, some S-mines too, by the way. Nice S-mine field. Allies will be forced to pull some of their forces away from the right side and try and contend for this victory point. And all three victory points have fallen into Axis hands despite huge manpower bleed right here. Trying to just throw infantry into the capture circle over and over again. QQ goes with couple of his abilities here, drops Stuka dive bomb and it takes strafe in the area, but nothing really gets hit. Both abilities pretty off target.
At your command.
And I think a bunch of infantry just got wiped over here. I don't even know what that was.
Yankee Panzer!
Those Shermans probably just inflicted a huge manpower bleed on whatever was standing right there. Sturm Pioneers are just standing there waiting to die to Sherman fire. Go around the corner. Allies trying to work on the point over here, but will be forced to retreat by something. I'm not sure. I didn't even see what it was. Panzer IV making its way over there as well. Fresh IS-2 and Sherman crossing the river, trying to help in these engagements. The T-34-85 is continuing to try to defend here. Pack 43 continues to be a threat to any tanks that get a little too close. Allies are going to need to field some artillery solutions to get that dealt with, in all likelihood. Sherman smoke screen goes down to allow Allied infantry to attempt to harass the right side victory point. But these forces are going to need Allied forces at other locations on the map to succeed in harassment as well, or they're probably going to start taking manpower bleed over here for nothing. Held down Ostwind. Look at that rate of fire. That is a serious threat. That is a very serious threat. Infantry stand no chance of capturing that point under that Ostwind's range. Yag Tiger on the field, making its way up the right side. That shock troop squad just committed suicide for no reason. Okay. Incendiary artillery here in the center, trying to delay capture of the center VP, but the clock is still ticking against the Allies. And we've also got a Panzer IV over here on the left, starting to see a lot of defenses on this victory point. Now it's the Allies that have gotten a little bit lazy with their harassment of this area, allowing 2 bunkers in this whole S-mine field to get constructed without any vision, any harassment. Stupid dive bomb on the cache right here doesn't do too much damage, I don't think. A couple combat engineers killed, but nothing too serious. Panther moves up, takes out that T-34-85 right there. Sturm Pioneers are making their way into that victory point. Sherman's firing on the MG-42 here. Building will collapse. MG-42 is taken out. Pack 43 gets a big hit on that Sherman, and it's got to pull back to a more safe location. 2 big hits. They should all get clear of that thing's range. Looks like the Allies are having some traffic jam problems here. A Stug moves up to provide vision for that Pack 43, and it does land its hit right along the line there, right along its arc of fire. Sherman is destroyed. This Sherman also needs to get its crew back inside and get, hopefully, to a more safe location if it doesn't want to get popped by that Stug. Stug is not rounding the corner, though. Jackson firing on the Stug from way up there. Lots of planes coming in. The whole battlefield is just chaos right now. Big engagement over here on the left side. Lots of planes being called in. Panther looking around for targets. IS-2's making a big aggressive push right here. Yag Tiger has made its way onto this road. It's going to be death to any tanks on this road. That Sherman has been abandoned again. I don't know where the crew even went at this point. P-47 has been called in. P-47 is my computer just cannot even begin to handle what is happening on this battlefield right now. P-47 pounding away. Yag Tiger pounding away. Railway artillery is landing somewhere, I think. Jeez. I think the Allies are losing. That's what it looks like anyway. They lost a lot of big vehicles during that. I saw a lot of Shermans explode, T-34s, IS-2s. I didn't see very many Axis tanks explode, if any, in fact. P-47 doesn't look like it had all that dramatic of an impact. These 2 T-34s, however, have cleared out both bunkers defending this point, probably ran over a bunch of S-mines, and they're going to try and harass the Axis economy here behind enemy lines, taking out some fuel caches.
Damage estimates show the enemy at 300 points.
And the clock is ticking against the Allies now. They could not hold onto all 3 victory points for just even like 10 seconds longer. Just 10 seconds is all they needed, but they lost it. They're going to work on the easy point over here on the left side first. T-34 is available over here to continue causing problems behind Axis lines. Got hulled down Ostwind available for anti-air duties. I don't really envision very many planes lasting very long with Vet 2 hulled down Ostwind sitting here in the middle of the map. Stug just died. Okay. Yag Tiger is facing sideways over here. But ambulance gets picked up by these infantry. Major's got to retreat. Allies getting pushed completely off the map. Wow, that is a big blob. That is a ridiculous allied blob of riflemen. That is probably one of the biggest rifle blobs I've ever seen. Rifle blob chases away the pathetic, by comparison, Oberkommando West blob. We may see the Allies just try and brute force their way to victory here if they get all of their infantry to simply flood the right side of VP. There's still a hull down Ostwind over here, as well as 2 infantry support guns to try and punish this blobbing. Although I think those infantry support guns should back away from these walls. By being right up against these walls, they have to fire like straight into the air, which makes it very hard for them to hit anything. They're not really very good when used as mortars. They're much better as direct fire artillery weapons.
Tank support is here. Sherman ready. Contact!
Those 2 squads gonna retreat. And I guess I was wrong. They're not making a play for the victory point just yet. Over here behind enemy lines, shock troops continuing to, wreak havoc, and we're actually going to see a base rush apparently. T-34s just drove straight into the Axis base right here, take out a base defense. They're working on the headquarters now. I mean, if the Allies want to go for an annihilation victory, it's going to take forever. There's a lot of bases to chew through. Not to mention, they'll still have to blow up all the Oberkommando West trucks. So, while they may be able to force a response from some Axis units, I don't really think that this is a viable option. Victory. Pathfinder artillery on that base structure clears out a Rakettenwerfer, does a little damage to the Jagdpanzer right there. A King Tiger is moving up to engage, though. This many tanks will be too much for that King Tiger to take on, though, by a huge margin. 2 Jacksons, 2 T-34-85s. The tank gun needs to be recrewed. Marked target coming in on the King Tiger right here.
Stick with me and you might just make it.
King Tiger's gonna go down. 1 T-34-85 destroyed. Railway artillery coming down over there. Doesn't look like it really hit anything though. King Tiger has exploded. Jagdpanzer probably gonna be next, but Sherman shot bounces. No, it doesn't. Sherman shot connects. Jagdpanzer is destroyed. Sherman also destroyed. Incendiary artillery falling in this base. Allies are just slowly moving between the bases, trying to kill everything. More Pathfinder artillery fell here. This entire base is pretty much destroyed. Tier 3 structure over here is about to go down. And there's another King Tiger on the field as well. This one just hit the field, making its way to the front line to try and do better than its predecessor. They keep sending tanks in one at a time, though. I don't really see this engagement going much better than the last one did. Although there are 2 anti-tank guns available right here to support. They're a little clumped. Probably both going to get cleared before the King Tiger makes its way to the engagement and turns its rear armor straight towards the giant Allied advance over there. Another AT gun set up here. T-34 squeaks by. IS-2 just driving around like crazy in the Axis base. The Allies have made a huge cutoff maneuver here on these strategic points. Most Axis forces continue to simply sit idle here on the front lines while this is happening. Allies are dedicating most of their forces to this base rush right now. I don't know, I think they really are going to try to go for the annihilation victory here. Pathfinder artillery gets called in again on the tier 4 structure, bringing it to about half and shocking that King Tiger. Currently remaining for the Allied advance is one IS-2, 2 Jacksons, and a Sherman. Over here we've got a King Tiger and a Panther. Pathfinders are killed, no more artillery can be called in by them. Jackson's falling low. King Tiger also falling low. With its damaged engine, it will be very easy for those Jacksons to kite it to death. Repairs are extremely slow going on these various Allied tanks. More tanks are being sent to assist in this engagement. A field gun also being deployed. GB Pirates' entire infantry force is AFK up here, though. That's kind of a waste. They should probably be doing something.
Ops report the weather is lifting. Stand by for confirmation.
T-34 moves up into close range.
Rear echelon troops on the front
Takes a
line.
lot of damage, has to back off. This squad was foolish enough to retreat and gets instantly killed. Axis are still cut off from all resources. Although I think this shock troop squad might just freeze to death. Yep, there they go. So much for those guys. Mortar is going to capture the strategic point back. P-47 just got called in on this King Tiger, and it's marked. Second P-47 engages the Panther instead. Big hit from the Jackson brings that King Tiger to only a sliver remaining.
Forward structures have been destroyed.
P-47 makes another pass, and the King Tiger is destroyed. Panther also takes a huge amount of, well, not even that much damage, but 3 Pio squads repairing it get wiped with 1 P-47 rocket. Axis resource income has been restored at the very least. But I think Annihilation victory is becoming a pretty real concern for the Axis right now. If all 4 Axis bases are completely destroyed, they'll lose. Allies still hold the left side island, which means their own victory point bleed is quite slow. Still have to destroy all these structures here. Both Ober Commando West headquarters structures, all the OKW trucks. Quite a few trucks, 3 trucks over here on the front line. These might prove a little more difficult to destroy, but with all of the massive losses they're inflicting on their opponents here, I think that some forces are going to actually need to redeploy away from the victory points back to the base. That being said, if they leave the victory points a little too vulnerable, they might lose from a VP victory, so... Axis have to manage the situation as carefully as they can. They're taking serious losses. All of the Oster base structures, including the headquarters, have been destroyed. It's kind of on the Oberkommando West players to try and get those repaired, and all 4 players need to mobilize their forces to try and deal with these allied threats appropriately without sacrificing too much victory point control. Command Panzer there just got destroyed by T-34-85s on the flank. Couple squads making their way through the Allied or Axis base over here. This flak emplacement's been stolen. Allied tanks have ceased to apply pressure to the Axis bases for now, while they pull back for some very badly needed repairs. Sherman's got a main gun destroyed. IS-2's very low. Some T-34s have redeployed to engage the Jagdtiger over here. Smoke is being deployed by this Ostwind to make it a little bit more difficult, but I think that Jagdtiger is going to go down. There it goes. All shots penetrate. All shots from those T-34s penetrate, even on the frontal armor. Mark vehicle helps boost the damage. And the Jagdtiger goes down without hardly contributing at all. Taken down just by 2 vet T-34-85s right there, circle strafing it. This Panther's fallen extremely low and has to pull back to safety. Pak-43 is available right here to fire on allied tanks that get too close. Jagdtiger overextended itself a little bit. Needed to be more in this range so that flanking it would have been punished harder. This Panther's gonna get annihilated by a huge force of allied tanks. There it goes. Allies running out of time a little bit though. Only 100 points now remain for them. They've lost this victory point. They either need to work on victory points a little bit more or finish off the Axis base as quickly as they can. They should be able to, honestly, but they need to stop repairing their tanks and get them over there and start taking down more structures. Pack 43 just got produced right here, though. That's going to make it a little bit more dangerous for tanks, but the Allies have decided to go for VPs again and stop the clock. They're going to take control of the left side, and the center is falling into their control. Pack 43 right there just got decrewed by incendiary artillery. This one trying to rotate about to fire on that IS-2. Gets shot off, but the IS-2 looks like it's going to get to safety. Gets out of range. Should be able to receive some repairs. The clock is stopped. And the Axis are now the ones who are in a lot of trouble. Allies kind of turning things around, have victory point control once again. Only 27 points remain for the Axis. The clock is ticking against them. Loss of Allied infantry here in the center, trying to maintain their hold on this area. Anti-infantry strafe will pin down all of these infantry, and Fallschirmjäger moving up with Stern Pioneer support, clear out what remains. Incendiary artillery strike being dropped in the capture circle to delay capture by these troops. One squad burns to death. IS-2 also moves up to fire on these infantry. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get this point captured. Only 18 points remain. If they don't make something happen under here on the left, that's GG. A lot of T-34s have pulled back for repairs. They've got some time. No huge rush. Victory point control, 100 points left. It's the Axis that are feeling the heat and need to make something happen pretty much immediately. If they can't defeat one almost dead IS-2 and a Sherman here, that's pretty much the game. More pressure going into the Axis base over here. Jagdpanzer is quite desperately needed at the center VP, but instead it's going to continue engaging here against these Jacksons. Horribly, by the way. It's just going to die. Just drove into a terrible engagement. Fallschirmjäger decrew a Sherman, but are probably going to die themselves. Another desperate attempt by the Axis to take this victory point may see them stop the clock at 1 point remaining. 2 points remaining, and the clock is stopped by this blob of infantry. The Sherman gets too close and is destroyed. Lots of manpower bleed inflicted by another incendiary artillery strike in the capture zone. If the Allies take control of this victory point, that is GG. A squad of paratroopers just got dropped, and the hulled down Ostwind is gone. I don't even know where it went or what it's doing right now, but if something's not done about this, that's the game. Railway artillery just got fired in the capture circle, but they're so spread out, I don't even know if that's going to work. Or it will work, or it'll get the job done just fine. Paratroopers get wiped and the clock is stopped once again. Allies attempting to harass here in the center are failing. Stern Pioneers moving up to engage these shock troops. Grenade gets tossed, does not turn the engagement in their favor. Oh, unless that squad retreats! Why would they retreat? That was a huge mistake. Clock is gonna start ticking against the Axis again if those two shock troops can hold that point for long enough. Smoke grenade just got deployed to assist. There it is. Clock is ticking against the Axis, and that Stern Pioneer squad retreating just lost the Axis of the game. GG. Allies win.